Hey parents, Rich Bordner again, and in this video I'm going to continue what I started in the last video. Last video I explained the philosophy behind our program, and in this video I'm going to speak a little bit more about what that looks like in application. So when you walk into our room and interact with our staff, what should you see and how is the philosophy working itself out? So remember the three pillars: enjoyment of the sport, developmental in focus, and focused on character and life skills. So three pillars. So how does the first pillar work itself out in how we run our club? The enjoyment. Well, I think first and foremost, just being cognizant that that is something that we're aiming for is half the battle. We coach both parents and kids to not lose the forest for the trees, so to speak. So, like I said last video, winning is awesome. And we want kids to win. And we're competitive. All that stuff. But we balance that out with the ultimate long-term goal of having your kid be ready for high school athletics and ready just to jump in at the varsity level when he reaches 9th grade. And we realize that that is going to be much easier if he enjoys wrestling along the ride. In recent years, in both parent and coach circles, it's become a really big concern about the number of kids that quit prematurely because of burnout and pressure from a number of angles. And it's been happening for a while now, but I think in recent years it's kind of become a little bit more protracted in the number of times it happens. So you'll hear that voice as a concern in both circles a lot. So, really, what good does it do if your kid quits before 9th grade? What good are all those state titles going to do if he doesn't even get to high school? I mean, really, ask yourself that. If he quits before the finish line, it's all for nothing, really. It doesn't really matter. So, while on the one hand, we want kids to win state titles, and we want them to win, that is a goal, but it's not the ultimate focus. The ultimate focus is what I'm about to explain with the developmental skills in the long term. So just knowing that is half the battle and being explicitly aware of that. Some other ways that that value works itself, or that pillar works itself out in our club, is we go to competitions, but we have other ways that kids can be successful in our program. I'm going to talk a little bit about our testing system in a little bit, where even if a kid is not being successful in competition and winning first place or medals, he can still gain a sense of accomplishment by advancing up the skill levels in our system. And also, we like to have fun in practice. We work hard, we break a sweat, the kids leave our room and they are tired and they are physically tired, but we have fun. We play games and we teach skills through things like that as well. So I think the bottom line here, if I could boil it down to one word, it's balance. Okay, so that's the enjoyment part, what that looks like. What about the developmental pillar of our program? Well, we actually have a system of skills that we seek to teach kids every year. And sorry, that's my daughter in the background. She just woke up from her nap. It's an actual list where these are the skills that we want kids to learn their first year. And this is how much we expect them to know. And in the second year, here are the skills that we're adding on. And we expect them to learn the previous year's skills to a greater degree of competency. and we actually kind of put a numerical value on all that, and it's kind of the third and fourth year skill, so it's kind of like a ladder. And think of it like a belt system in the martial arts dojo. There's certain skills you need to learn as a yellow belt, as a blue belt, or green belt, whatever. Very same concept. And these skills are the ones that are the most successful in high percentage moves throughout all levels. So we're not going to teach them a move that they might be successful at the youth level, but then get smashed, not be able to do at high school and college. This is D1 technique. So D1 technique, in our estimation, is nothing flashy. It's the skills that work. Okay, we're teaching them to master those certain set of skills. So I'd rather them learn a certain limited set of skills, master them, rather than know a whole wide swath of skills, but maybe not as well. So the real dangerous person, a real dangerous wrestler, is the wrestler that knows, that has mastered a certain set of core skills. Okay, and then there's another list of athletic skills that we teach the kids through our warm-ups and through our conditioning, and then we give them homework assignments that their parents can actually help them out with. And these skills get them stronger, makes them more mobile, and teaches basic body awareness. So think of a gymnast. That's kind of like the ultimate athlete for me, somebody that's has ultimate control and mastery of their body. So of course we're not going to be teaching them like all these really complicated flips, but at the same time we're teaching basic gymnastic skills that makes them a better wrestler and makes them a better athlete overall. If they go to other sports, they should be able to be better at those other sports because they were in our club, because they participated in wrestling. So there's that overlap with other sports too. And we actually test kids on these skills, both the athletic and the wrestling skills. A couple times a year we'll have a Saturday where it's just a couple hours where we can test them, and if they pass the test, and we give certain awards out, and we have competitions in those athletic skills and wrestling skills as well, where they can demonstrate excellence and win a medal. So this gives kids, all kids, the kids that win competitions in wrestling and the kids that aren't doing so great in competition, a sense of accomplishment. So this goes right back to the enjoyment part. There have been kids that have tried out competitions for a year or two and they've really struggled, but then when they come to our test, they have a boatload of fun because they can excel in those tests, they can pass, they can accomplish something. And so that builds that natural joy of the sport in them, as well as develops the skills. And next, in terms of commitment, we make it age and maturity appropriate. So we don't give them a drink from a fire hydrant right off the bat. Granted, the commitment level and what we ask of parents and families is probably going to be a little bit more than what they're comfortable with, because wrestling is just that way. But we're not going to overwhelm them and go competition crazy and travel out of state every weekend, or even go to a competition every weekend. Again, the key word is balance. The kids that are starting out, we ask that everybody go to a certain number of basic competitions and scrimmages. And then as they mature through the club and they want more and more competition, we give it to them. So by the time that they're in junior high, or they've been with us for a couple of years, they can really operate at a high level, but we don't start them out that way. We build it gradually, take each individual as they come, and up the intensity and commitment as they mature in age. So that's another thing that how we operate. Now, how about the life skills? What do those look like? How do we teach those in our everyday existence? Well, a lot of that is just going to be picked up naturally just by participating in the sport, because wrestling is just like that. But we also, as a staff, are very intentional about teaching those life skills. So, for example, we do it by visual means. Kids are highly visual. They need to see reminders of what we want them to learn every day. So when you walk into our room, you should see a lot of plaques or quotes or posters or like a wall of fame here and there. Our room is decked out with decorations because we want kids to see the character that we are instilling in them. Secondly, we communicate it through how we speak to the kids and how we speak to the parents. We're talking a lot and through daily little proverbs and lessons about these things. And this video is a way that, you know, we're working this all out. And then there's a behavioral element too. For example, in competition, we teach them that when you win and you lose, you react the very same way. When you win, you shake his hand, you tell him good job, you walk off and you shake the other coach's hand, you keep your head high. When you lose, you shake his hand, you tell him good job, you walk off the mat and shake the other coach's hand and you keep your head high. If a kid like throws a fit or he throws his headgear, we definitely have a conversation with him. So it's a process where we're meeting them where they're at and coaching them relationally to the next level. Lastly, I mentioned relationship. We seek to develop tight and trusting relationships with the wrestlers and the parents. We've had one-on-one meetings before with the kid and the coach to kind of go over some of the stuff, where he's at, what we see and how we see him progressing, and just give him basic feedback on a one-on-one level, and even things like house visits and stuff like that. So that's just some of the examples. I mean, I could go on forever, but that's some of the examples of how we work out the life skill component of our coaching. So hopefully all that makes sense. That's just a little background on our club and what drives us and what we hope that you'll get when you sign up. Again, it's not perfect, but that's the blueprint. And if you want any more information about our club, we have a couple of social media avenues. You can see us on the web, bigcatwrestling.com, cat with a K, or you can hit up our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/bigcatwrestling. Again, cat with a K. If you have any questions, you can email the following address, bigcatwrestlingclub@gmail.com, and somebody will get back with you quickly on your question or issue. And we hope that you give wrestling a shot. Of course, I'm biased because I've been involved in wrestling for 25 years now, but in my humble yet always correct opinion, I think that wrestling stands head and shoulders above the rest. It's unique. I mean, all sports teach character and life lessons, and all sports are fun and whatnot, but I think wrestling is just, it's absolutely unique and indispensable when it comes to shaping the next generation. In closing, I'm just going to put up on the screen a couple of quotes that I think really communicates that well. The first is by Carl Albert. He was Speaker of the House back in the 70s, I think, right around the Nixon era. And I'll just, rather than saying, I'll just let you read it on the screen. It's a really awesome quote. And the second one comes from Dan Gable, who was head coach for Iowa University for a number of years and is a legend in the sport. He says this: "Once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy." And I kind of disagree with that. It's not that everything in life is easy. Even if you're a wrestler, marriage is hard. Parenting is hard. Cancer or sudden illness is hard. All these things are not going to be easy just because you wrestle. But I think certainly everything else in life is easier. Because you've been there. You've been there and back, and wrestling prepares you well for life. So I hope that makes you think. And if you're on the fence about signing your kid up for wrestling, I hope that helps you decide. And we hope to see you soon. We offer spring, summer, and winter programs, a variety of ways for your kid to try the sport out. So hope to hear from you.